Hello YouTube, we're back. So we saw the movie, The Conjuring, was it three?
The Devil Made Me Do It.
I think it's 3, The Devil Made Me Do It. And we have a couple of opinions.
First of all, I liked it. I don't really love these kind of movies, but it was okay, it was entertaining.
So I want to start by saying that it's not a bad movie. It's definitely not a bad movie. None of the Conjuring movies are bad. You know, the Conjuring movies are actually pretty good. They have backstory to it. You know, for people that are so like uptight about whether a movie has a backstory to it, whether it makes sense, you know, then you're gonna be okay with this movie because it has a backstory to it. It makes sense. There's a storyline. You know what I'm saying? But if you know me, you know that I don't like sci-fi. I don't like sci-fi. And this movie wasn't even borderline sci-fi. It was well over that sci-fi line. You know, you're either scary or you're sci-fi. But this movie was sci-fi. You know, and me understanding that it was sci-fi, I'm still able to say that it was a good movie. But if you don't like sci-fi movies, if you want something that's scary and not overly like not realistic, this is not it. This is not it because it was too unrealistic. Like it had realistic parts mixed with unrealistic parts, and I guess that's why you wouldn't fully classify it as sci-fi, but it's still, it still was too on the unrealistic side for me. There was some good parts to it. Like if you're a Possession fan like me.
A what fan?
A Possession fan. Oh. If you like, possessed.
Profession fan.
If you like possessed people or whatever, there were some good scenes in there that they just did not go too deep into. Like I wanted to see more of the possession, because that's what The Conjuring is. Like be possessed, So in the beginning we saw the kid possessed. He was doing some crazy things with his body. I like that. And then the older kid, there was a good scene in there in the prison where he was possessed, clearly doing crazy shit with his body. That's the shit I want to see about possession. But no, it led too much into the whole, it showed you a demon. Like it showed you an actual demon. It showed too much of the backstory, which I personally could not care about the backstory. You're a backstory person. I'm not a backstory person. I like the scary shit. Let's get to the scary shit. It wasn't a bad movie by any means. Was it a scary movie by any means? No, it wasn't scary. I wasn't scared. I was not scared. The only time I was scared is the very ending, when after the credits, they played the actual tapes of the kid that was possessed and they played his voice. That was the only time I was scared, because that was real and that was scary. Other than that, I wasn't scared. I wasn't bored either. Like it was a good movie, but it was definitely sci-fi. That's my only issue.
Wow. Usually we are on opposite sides of this, because usually I don't like her. I usually don't like her possession movies. But for what it was fun. It wasn't like over the top, and I like this, like, okay, it's like kind of like what you said, sci-fi. It's like sci-fi, but it's entertaining.
And you love sci-fi.
It's entertaining sci-fi. Okay.
You love sci-fi. Huh?
Yeah. Because it wasn't that documentary type style, like, what was it? Is that? The
Last Exorcism.
Yeah, because this kind of documentary style, and I don't like those kind of movies because it's just like, comes up kind of boring because they're trying to be so real. So this, like, it was a movie that accepted that it was a movie and not trying to be overly real. And the only thing I had a gripe with is that, like, they never explained why the girl or the witch, the Satanist, that's how you say it. Satanist. They never explained why exactly she was doing the spell. Like, what's the end result of the spell? Okay, yeah, it's gonna kill people, but what does it do? Like, is she rewarded somehow for doing it? They didn't really say, because, like, why did she pick these particular, like, families to target? They never went into that. It's just like, okay, I'm just gonna curse this family, curse that family. So that really didn't make sense. But that aside, it was an okay movie, because it's like it didn't try too hard to be like very realistic. I guess at the end when they put the little clips, and I was like, that part's like, you're trying too hard. Because I don't know, when they try to make possession movies very realistic, I was like, just stick to the whole bone crunching, like people doing stuff, and I'll have a good time. So I liked it. I felt like everyone acted pretty well, especially the little kid. So the initial one when he stabbed the guy with the glass, I was like, okay, he's gonna do some creepy stuff. So I like that. But I applaud the girlfriend, because it's like her boyfriend's doing all of this, and she's like, "It's okay. What's wrong? What's wrong?" And she was there the whole time. I was like, "Damn, you were MVP," because I'd have been out with the quickness. You know, she's acting like this is normal. Like he's just breaking his bones. It's all good. I'm just gonna sit here and be like, "What's wrong?" Even at the prison when he's floating, and she's like, "No, what's wrong? He's floating." And you says, "What's wrong?" Right? And she's like, "No." And then the priest was pissing himself the whole time because he was just there shaking. He's like, and she's like, "It's time. It's time." Like, why does she have to tell the priest that it's time? Mm-hmm. But it was a good movie. For entertainment factor, I'd give it, like an 8, just for entertainment. If you're trying to look for that whole like, oh my gosh, I want to see like really realistic kind of like possession stuff, you might not like it too much. In comparison to the past Conjuring movies, I think it takes a step back from that. So, but it's just like, it was a good time.
Now I want to talk about my favorite scene, and one of my favorite scenes was, like I said, when the older kid was in the prison, and then his possession really started, where she was about to kill him. I like that scene because I want to see his possessed body. That's why I watch possession movies, and he was doing the possession scene. It was good. And then the scene I liked the most was right before he killed the guy. What was the guy? Like the manager or something?
The manager of the dog place?
Right before he killed the manager of the dog place. It's like the movie kind of switched perspective to his perspective, like the possessed kid's perspective, and he was seeing something that was clearly not there. And so they went into the dog where the dogs were at, and all of a sudden everything turned dark and almost like a red. And I really got the sensation like, okay, I see what this kid is experiencing, and it's really scary. So that was one of my favorite parts, because it was like realistic and borderline unrealistic. Like it didn't cross over the non-realistic part. It didn't cross over yet. That's why I like that part, because you gotta know how to stay on that line and not cross it. But everything else about the movie, they started crossing that line to sci-fi. That's the only issue. It's not that sci-fi is bad. I don't like sci-fi. If I wanted a sci-fi movie, I'd watch zombie shit. I don't like sci-fi.
Zombie movies are good. You should watch
I don't like zombie.
Dawn of the Dead.
I don't like zombie movies, and I watched that movie before. Nothing crazy. I don't really like those types of movies.
Resident Evil?
I like Resident Evil for personal reasons, not because I really feel like, sci-fi.
The first Resident Evil was pretty good.
Yes, it was really good. But if you want to watch it for just to be entertained and watch something on the weekend, yes, it's a good movie. You know what I'm saying? If you're like me, where it's like you want something scary, you want something that's at least semi-realistic, this is not it. But I still like it. I still liked it. Overall, I would give it a 7.5 out of 10. No, 7.5 out of 10. If it was a little bit more realistic, I'd give it an 8.
Excuse the planes. We're in the park.
What do you give it?
I give it an 8. For entertainment factor alone, I give it an 8.
Okay. I still give it a 7.5 because the Conjuring movies, I wish they would have stayed a lot with like the other two. The first two, especially the first one, was really good. If they would have stayed, it would have been a clear 9.5. But they had to stray away from that way too much. The actors, I love the actors. The women and the Ed and Lorraine Warren, I love them.
They should let Ed die at least.
It's based on a true story. He can't die like that.
Because her just having this, I guess the romantic factor, but like.
No, it's based on a true story. So I like their love story, and I love how they keep that up through the Conjuring movies. I love that because it's a real thing. They love each other, like it's a real thing.
At one point, I got like Titanic vibes when like they're showing the backstory of how they met. I don't know if you ever see. Remember when Leonardo DiCaprio was coming down the stairs? I think he was at the top of the stairs, or I forgot, in the Titanic, in the Grand Hall.
Yes, and he's staring at her.
Yeah, that's why I got that vibe from her.
And they were mad cute when they were young. But anyway, the actors. But anyway, I love their love story, and I hope that if they do more Conjuring, which I think they will, because Ed and Lorraine Warren in real life, they actually had a lot of cases. So, I hope they keep that aspect, that love aspect in it, because it's real and it's cute, and I don't see why not. But other than that, I hope they don't keep going with the whole sci-fi shit. Like, we don't like the whole Nun. The Nun. No. Like,
was boring.
that was so bad. That was so sci-fi. And it's like, I even think sci-fi people wouldn't want it in their category, but I'm throwing it in there. But that's it. It was a good movie. If you're not that picky about scary movies, if you're not that picky about it being sci-fi versus, oh, is it realistic, you're gonna like the movie. Isn't it bad? None of the Conjuring movies are bad, and I don't expect them to be bad because they know what they're doing, you know.
Okay, I guess that's all.
That's it. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and until next time.